1-800-GO-ALEC. You won't see why taking a seat has taken on a whole new meaning. Car rental of 5 days or more, 24-hour advance reservation prepaid required by June 1st. Offer good for rentals from April 14th through July 17th, 1996. Prepaid rates are absolutely
when we get to the other airport, there's a bus station
travel valid from April 24th through September 30th, 1996.
Today's Country 92
It seems a shame, don't it, going home now?
Super music coming up,
I've just
including
learned how to use these four-way stops.
Listener Appreciation Concert, one of them. We've got Who's Been Having Who's Been
His eyes are cold and restless.
Yeah, first of all, they're not supposed to be in that
lane.
No. No, that's the bridge you would see. Also, there's a building with a slant roof. That is also Citibank. It has that new solar energy. In other words, heat rays from the sun. At the United Nations, and the United Nations was founded in 1945, and there was 51 nations represented at that time. We now have approximately 184. Normally there are flags in front of the United Nations to represent each one of those nations, and they would be listed in alphabetical order. A would be for Afghanistan, which was the first to join. Z would be for Zimbabwe, which was the last until a few years ago. Now the nation is on an 18-acre Netherlands. There are 6 official languages they speak here. There's French, English, Chinese, Russian, Spanish, and Arabic. No parking, not 5 minutes, not 30 seconds, not at all. There's another one here. don't even think of parking here. In other words, people been coming to New York City getting parking tickets and leaving. About 7 or 8 years ago, the city really began to collect their monies. 1 year alone, they collected over $200 million in parking fines. It was the second biggest revenue to the city. Number one is real estate taxes. What they do now, they tow your car in, they give you 30 days to pick it up. You don't pick it up in 30 days, they auction it off. We have an auction here every week. 3 years ago, June, they had so many cars on hand, they gave us June as amnesty money. In other words, to pay your tickets without. Now, very shortly, we'll be past Trump Plaza.
Oh, yeah.
Also owned by Donald Trump, the one bedroom that when first opened, which was about 14 years ago, started at $330,000. You buy that apartment. You must pay what they call a maintenance fee each month on these apartments. It depends on what size apartment you have. Your maintenance could be anywhere from $1,000 to about $3,000 a month after you buy it. Shows you this is not the average working class people that live in this area. The average person that work here cannot afford to live here. This is what former President Richard Nixon tried to buy one of his place at one time. You might remember he'd been turned. He wanted to have his wife and her doctor to stay on Park Avenue because she'd been very sickly at that time. He'd also been sickly at that time. He'd had what we call the shingles, some type of nervous disorder. Directly in front of us is Central Park. Central Park is 843 acres. It's 2.5 miles long, ½ a mile wide. Inside Central Park, we have the famous restaurant, Tavern on the Green. We also that has become a big issue. Now, at the foot of Central Park, also at the foot of the park here, you'll be able to see the Plaza Hotel was owned by Donald Trump and the banks. He has lost that hotel altogether. Somebody bought it, sold for like $340 million. Because, you know, in the 80s, the real estate market to this fellow. In this building here, she keeps it all the time. Most of the place you have to stand on line just to get inside. They have some of the most exclusive apartments in the world in Trump Tower. That's what Johnny Carson bought that $4 million apartment in there. And when that building first opened, there was a Saudi Arabian family. They didn't want an apartment. They wanted the floor. So they bought the whole floor for $11 million. Can you see medallion? The blue piece. Yeah. 1 in 75. Okay, the number completed 1858. That's what John Kennedy had his second wedding ceremony. That's what they have Robert Kennedy's on most services each year. And there are 8 archbishops that are buried inside there.
Is it crossed over?
Stood at this next.
And right over there to my left, TKTS is where you would buy your half-price tickets on the day of a show that's not sold out. Duffy Square. It's a part of New York City that never sleeps. Normally traffic is bad in New York City, but not quite this bad.
No, we're filming something.
Oh, okay.
Somebody at Virgin's group. That's Richard Branson.
You see, you recognize somebody? Who?
Richard Branson's there on the right. Which one? He's the one on the right in the silver suit.
Oh,
On the
okay.
stage, that's Richard Branson.
Oh, okay. Imagine what the Japanese is paying for this sign here. It says Sony there. It's the part of New York City that never sleeps. And a lot of people think this is a square because it's called Times Square. It's called because of this block right here to my right. Most of that block is owned by the New York newspaper, The Times. That's why it's called Times Square. Crossing 42nd Street, 7th Avenue. This is the crossroad of the world for people. And the reason they call this the crossroad of the world for people, they say if you stand on one of these corners here long enough, no matter where you're from, you'll meet somebody from your hometown. In other words, the subway entrance back there handles over 1 million people per day. And the subway Lincoln Center comes down Broadway, ends up in front of Macy's. That's also where they did some scenes. Miracle on 34th Street is about this Macy's here. You might know that Macy's is or was in financial trouble, and there was a company called Federated that invested $4.1 billion into Macy's debt. Price to bill on top of it.
What street is on this, you say?
It's at 33rd Street, right here,
33rd Street.
and 7th Avenue.
7th Avenue, yeah. So I was coming to watch you fight the month.
Who's he coming to see?
He's coming, I can't know who he did tell me. He's coming to see a fight here. I said I'd look it up for him.
33rd Street
And
7th Avenue. Or taxi cabs. Right there is the world's largest post office. It's open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It never closes. It was completed in 1931, and in building it, it took 3,000 men working around the clock for 1 year and 45 days to build. They set a new world's construction record. The men worked at 25 cents an hour. They have 2 observation decks there, one on the 86th floor, one on the 102nd floor. There are approximately 16,000 office workers that there. 50% of shoe manufacturers have office space in that building.
Have you got streets inside this as well? Have you seen King Kong 33rd Street main road?
That means...
You're right. To be honest, I feel like calling.
Sorry.
Oh, this goes up in tens.
You feel it?
I don't feel it, just my
Oh, pop
poke.
it.
I think it feels weird. Mama. That's now. 60. Mama. I don't know. But it's 66. Oh, my ears are popped. Yeah, now we are 70, 71, 45, 6, 77, 78, 79, 80. Oh, hey, something. Wait, that? Oh, my.
We've got to go for another one, I thought we were there.
Là, tu fais rien, c'est vraiment tout ça.
Oh, I can feel the drop. Can't tell you. Oh, your mum would love this. Yeah. Come on, Danny. Mummy, she's down at the bottom.
Somewhere. Way right at the top. Apart from the antennae.
Right, go down to there then and have a look down that one.
We'll have to go down it. Don't climb. This may look great, but if you fall off this, it's a long way down. I know. We're taller than that building. We're taller than that building. So
Yeah.
that's on the stand. I didn't know the Empire State Building was just stupid.
What's he doing?
We've got to go down.
say, Stace?
This 12-acre speck of land has had many names to the Kanasasi Indians. It was Linnaeus or Lesser Island. Later it became Love Kennedy Great Oyster Corporation and then Bedloe's Island. Finally, in 1956, it was renamed Liberty Island, a prehistoric Indian site. The island has also been home to a farm, a summer house, a quarantine station, a pest house, a Tory refuge, a French naval hospital, a dump, a gallows, a military prison, and since 1987 a part of the Statue of Liberty National Monument. Wood. The statue's pedestal sits atop Fort Wood, originally one link in a chain of defences protecting New York City and its vital harbour. The fort was built in 1812 in the shape of an 11-pointed star and was occupied by the War Department as an active armed post until 1987. Many incised markings, believed to be Masonic symbols, have been found on its granite exterior walls. I wish I had my bookings. I want to go look at it.
Freedom, answer the radio, please. Watch your step in the gangway, keep moving in, please.
I love this time, but I want to drive out of the studio.
There's a button.
Yeah.
Do you know when you paint that thing gold?
Yeah.
Paint it brown. She's got to have it.
Paint the bottom brown?
What? That is. Hey, stop it.
You're on the upper two decks and you wish to go ashore to visit, please make your way downstairs to the main deck at this time.
Now, at the end of the Bronx, you can get out, you know, you can go to other parts without going across the bridge.
What is this bridge?
This is the Williamsburg. The second oldest, 1903 completed. Next Manhattan, the Williamsburg section of Brooklyn. Jewish neighborhood on the other side. They're the ones that wear the long beard with the black outfits.
Why do they wear those?
I think that's part of their religion. Williamsburg.
They drive Volvos.
Excuse me?
They drive Volvo cars.
Do they drive Volvo cars? No, they normally drive mostly inexpensive cars. Although they are very wealthy, you would not know it. One of the most expensive that we have here in the city. In other words, the average person just don't get buried out there. The average person would get buried on Long Island, New Jersey, or Connecticut. It's much cheaper in those places than here.